Hey everybody, Jeff, your executive gardener here. Hey, thanks for tuning in for another episode. So it's probably, what is it, the 19th of July, somewhere around that, but either the 18th, I don't know the date exactly. But it is about 120 degrees here in Houston, Texas, or at least it feels like it. And as I've said before, virtually nothing will grow. Very few things except certainly sweet potatoes and okra and other plants, watermelon, that love the heat. But other things that are popular in most parts of the world that you all are growing right now is not going to grow here in Houston. I'm practically dripping sweat just standing here in the middle of the afternoon. So I try to continue to make videos for my followers and my subscribers that help you out, and there's simple things that you can do right now. So one of the things that I'm doing right now is I'm making my own steeped compost tea, but I just started making my own brewed compost tea, and I'm going to show you how I'm doing it. Now, I'm not using my compost from my compost bin, which I've showed you before. I'm actually making vermiculture or worm tea, worm compost tea. So I'm taking the castings from my worms, putting them into a bucket, aerating them, adding a few other things that I'll show you, and I'm adding them to my plant. So if you follow my channel, you know that I love my worm castings. So here's some worm castings that I recently got out of my worm ins, and I'll show you exactly what I do, and it's something you can do at home. One of the things I noticed recently, and I'll show you here, is that I have a dwarf lemon and a dwarf lime tree that I looked at it the other day, and maybe it's the heat, I don't know what it is, but all the leaves were yellow and they weren't doing well. So I thought to myself, I'm going to put in some brewed worm tea in there. And as you know, well, I'll talk about in a little bit, the positive bacteria and the microbes that are in there, once they're in your soil, are very beneficial for your plants, in addition to some of the nutrients, the NPK and other things. And if you followed my channel, you know very well that I feed my worms very well. Everything from calcium to potassium and other type of nutrients that comes out of our kitchen goes into our worm bins, and they devour it, and then they leave me with beautiful castings that I use now for worm compost tea. So let me get behind the camera, let me show you how easy it is to make your own brewed, aerated vermiculture compost tea for your plants. So here we are, there's the Compost Tea Brewing. So how I make this is relatively simple. You see it's in a simple 5-gallon bucket that was filled with dechlorinated water. And I'll show you what ingredients I use. So to start with, here's my worm castings, you'll see. I take 4 cups, 3 or 4 cups of worm castings, pure worm castings. I put them in to the water. And this is certainly after I put it in. I don't need to show you how to put them in. And then I take some black strap or unsulfured molasses, and I put a tablespoon of that again into the bucket. And then lastly, I take 2 to 3 ounces of fish fertilizer. You can get this at any Home Depot, Lowe's, garden store. I put that in as well. And again, I dechlorinate the water, and then I stir it up really good. Stir it up really good with a spoon. Now the molasses and I believe the fish liquid fertilizer, once I put the compost in there, fresh worm compost, it gets the bacteria going, and it creates a positive environment for the positive bacteria and microbes to start brewing in here. One of the important things, you'll see the bubbles in here, that you need to have is an aeration system. So there's a website called the Red Boiling Frog Compost Tea, and I'm not affiliated with it in any way, but I bought this from it. So I have 2 fish pumps that are plugged in, basic aquarium, I should say fish pumps, aquarium pumps that are pumped in. And then what I did from that Red Frog Compost Tea is I bought this aerator. So you'll see it's a gigantic aerator that supports 2 hoses, and it sits on the bottom of this. And the important thing, if you're going to do this, is don't buy typical like bluestones, like these type of things you'll see from the fish store that plug into a hose, a 1/4-inch tube, excuse me. These holes get clogged up and it doesn't work. If you're going to do this buy the aeration stones that don't clog. And this thing cost me about 10-15 bucks, that's it. And I put it in there. So once that's in there, what I actually do before I put it in there is I stir it all up really well. But for those microbes and bacteria to produce and to get to the level you want, I leave this going for about 24 hours, constantly brewing. I do keep it covered up. This is usually a shaded spot, but it's in a shaded spot, but I'm bringing it out so you can see it a little bit better in the sun. But so what you're going to see is after 24 hours, you're going to start to see the top start foaming up and frothing up. And that means that you're ready to go. And then what I simply do is I take this, I put it into my watering cans, and I put it into my my lemon, my lime trees, and my vegetable plants. I still do have some vegetable plants that are growing, like peppers and a few other things that do like the heat. But it's worked very well. And if you think about it, you know, why it works so well, quite frankly, is that, you know, I put nothing but good stuff into my worm bins. They produce that black gold known as compost, worm compost, and I put it into here and create worm compost tea. Now there's two ways you can put it. You can either spray it on your foliar spray onto the plants. I would recommend you probably do that toward the end of the night so it doesn't, especially if you're in hot areas where it doesn't just evaporate in the heat. Or you can apply it directly to the roots and the soil. I apply it directly to the roots of the soil because the soil is what you want your positive bacteria and your microbes to start teaming up in that soil, and it's very beneficial for the plant. So typically this formula that I've told you about is a moderate bacteria type formula with the compost, so as opposed to a fungus type formula, which is probably more for bigger trees, but it works fairly well. It's a moderate amount of positive bacteria and microbes that benefit your plants. And as I said before, the NPK is about 111 in here, so it's not a tremendous amount, but it also does have the other positive micronutrients that I do feed my worm, like calcium and potassium with bananas and so forth. So let me show you real quick what the plants look like. So here's one plant real quick, and let me make sure I get out of the shade so you can see it. So this plant, look how green it is. So you can see it's a Meyer lime tree, and there's limes here. But look how green it is. This thing, probably a week before I fed it with my vermiculture compost tea, worm tea, it was wilted and yellow. Now you can see it's just beautiful. It's very green. Limes are doing well. The soil looks good. Again, those bacteria and positive microbes are working and doing action in that soil. And let's take a look at the other one. Oh, this is a lemon tree. Even though it looks like a lime tree, these will turn yellow. Again, this thing also was relatively yellow, or yellow in leaves. Didn't look great. I put the worm compost tea in here, and probably about 3 to 5 days later, it just greened up beautifully. But you can just tell. Look, when you look at a dwarf tree like this, you can just tell by looking at, and these are all small fruit, how a plant is responding. And usually when people always ask me what's going wrong with my plant, it's a number of things. There's some basic things like consistent watering, but it's all based on your soil. What is your soil like for the plant in a container like this? And a lot can happen, like Houston, when you get a lot of rain, a lot of the nutrients and other things can be affected by all the rain, and the nutrients can leach out. But when you consistently pour compost tea, when I say consistently, it should be done once every 2 to 3 weeks in there, it maintains that positive microbes and bacteria in your soil to benefit the plants. And that's what you want. In addition, of course, you can use other type of fertilizers, but I found the compost tea to be enough. In addition, as you saw, I added fish fertilizer in there as well. And as I talked about, my my worms provide other nutrients in the castings from such as calcium and potassium. So overall, these trees are doing great. So this is a quick thing you can do at home. If you check one of my other videos out, you can see, you know, kind of how you can make steeped tea versus the tea that's the brewed tea. But again, I would do this, make sure the water's not chlorinated, let it run for 24, 30, 36 hours, and you are good to go. Put it in your watering can and go. This stuff, as mucky and as ugly as it looks, will benefit both my pepper plants, which are growing right now, and all my dwarf trees. So again, apply it once every 2 to 3 weeks. You are good to go. I hope this episode's been helpful on aerated compost tea or brewed compost tea. It's relatively easy to do, very affordable to do if you have worms, of course. Now you can do the same thing if you want. If you have a compost bin, you just replace the worm castings with the compost from your compost bin. Very similar formula. I hope you've enjoyed this quick video from the Executive Gardener channel. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so after the video, or forward it to a friend that may be interested in gardening and learning and being a part of our community. Hope everybody has a good one. Take care. Bye.